What does it feel like being in a studio in our loft?
I feel like I was on The Bachelorette. Just kidding. I feel like I should have been or something. Like, why am I here?
True. You should be. Would you ever go on?
No.
Why not?
Dude, I catch feelings way too easy.
Dude, me too. I could not be on The Bachelor. Is that the type of podcast you like to watch? The ones with the contestants and whatnot?
Well, I used to. A lot of relationship podcasts, mental health. But when I would watch the show, I was very like entertained by recaps of The Bachelor or Bachelorette. And then that just got me into like those same contestants that started their podcast would then create their own, and they just talk about relationships or mental health. So I tend to listen to those.
So yeah, we are live now. 100%.
Do you hear Ethan crying downstairs?
Is he?
Yeah,
Oh,
dude.
Jesus Christ.
I don't know if it's like in my brain, but I've been hearing him nonstop cry.
I don't think he is. Is he?
No, he is. And Mom's probably like, everything's fine.
So just for context, we are, like I said, we're upstairs in the loft, and the only way, well, not the only way, but I feel like there's the best way to just have Asen be watched by Mom while we do this podcast.
Yeah.
Asen is your son, my nephew, and right now it's just not going too well, I guess. But honestly, I feel like you think he'd just chill in here? Probably not, huh? He'd get like...
He'd want to be on the camera, which he'd be chilling then.
Yeah, if he was just sitting with you.
Yeah. Do you want me to get him?
No, it's fine. Anyways, so yeah, this is the 4th episode of the Most Vulnerable Player podcast. It's still so weird me saying that. So the last episode that you probably will be seeing in a few days was with Brett, my best friend. That's on Monday. I think it's been going pretty well. I've been getting some good feedback on these. So what do you think about, have you listened to any of them? Dude, you haven't.
Dude.
You're scum.
It's just been nonstop. And I'm the type that like likes to watch your videos and like listen to your stuff when
No, I'm just kidding.
Hear me out. When I like undivided attention, right? Like just no distractions, and I just haven't had that yet. But I will.
Well, it is on Spotify and Apple Music for anybody you guys wondering. So you can watch it on your drive. If you're a busy mom, you can make some time, but
I got you. This weekend.
Yeah. So today I have the pleasure of sitting down with, if you can't already tell, my sister. We get a lot that we look very much alike, which, I mean, I guess I see it. Her name's Stephanie. Say what's up to everybody.
What's up, everybody?
Can you kind of give a little introduction into yourself? Who is Stephanie?
So Stephanie, I'm a daughter. I'm a sister. I'm a mom. I'm a teacher.
How old are you?
I'm 29. I'll be 30 this December.
And you're my older sister, but you're the middle child as well. So we also have an older brother, Javier, who you guys met in the first episode. And what grade do you teach?
I teach first grade, science and social studies.
Where at?
At IDEA, public schools.
And how's that going?
It's going good. I love the subject. I love the content that I'm teaching. The kids love it. I feel like it's just a nonstop conversation with them. They're very intrigued, and it's just cool teaching them about what our world was like before they were here. It was so funny one time because they're first graders, so they literally believe everything you tell them, which is super cute, but I have to kind of just watch what you say, right? But one time I had to leave early for a doctor's appointment, and they were like, "Miss Ramirez, where are you going?" And we were studying Africa at the time, and I was like, "I'm going to Africa." And it was like the weekend, so it kind of made sense that I was about to leave, and I was leaving school early. I mean, in their head, it made sense, but they legit believed me. And come Monday, like, they were asking me, like, Miss Ramirez, like, how was Africa? They, like, really, truly thought I went.
So you have to be careful with what you say as well, because
They'll take it and run with it.
Yeah. Dude, some of the stories you tell me of your kids are just honestly hilarious.
Yeah, it's never.
It seems like a fun age to teach.
Yeah, no, their mind's just running. It's never boring.
Did you ever envision yourself being a teacher?
Always. That was always like the picture I had of myself, like way in the back of my head. I felt like it would be nice to, I always, me, I always wanted a family, wanted kids, and I felt like it was the easiest job to do with having kids. And Mom would always tell me, be a teacher when you grow up so you can have summers with your children and all this stuff. So it was always in the back of my head, and I knew if I wanted to stay coaching volleyball, teaching would definitely be something that I would need to get into. But it didn't really happen until, later in my life. I had a whole career shift.
Because you were going for physical therapy, right?
Yeah.
And then what made you shift?
So I was going for physical therapy. I was actually done with I was done with all the courses that I needed. I took all the tests I needed to. I was submitting applications, and I got waitlisted at UTEP, which basically that means
We hear Asen crying right now. Oh, Jesus.
Dude, I'm very distracted by his crying.
I know.
What's wrong?
You're going to watch us. Okay? This is your chair. It never fails. Every episode, there's something that...
Are we like
just
starting
unexpected.
all over?
Nah. It's just something unexpected that happens. We'll pick up right where we left off. And now Mom's just making even more noise. Dude, I find it like whenever we need it quiet for whatever reason in the house, like it's just like I guess it's perfect timing to just clean the pots and pans because goddamn.
Dude, the thing is, we didn't even cook.
I know, dude. She's just like, I don't know. I guess it's the perfect time as we're filming to organize the fucking the drawers and stuff, dude. I swear. Sorry.
She's probably, she made popcorn, so if I were to guess, she's looking for the popcorn bowl.
As you can see, I have a low patience for this type of stuff. Anyway, so one of the things that makes us, I guess, a very similar or just have a lot in common is the things that we've dealt with, like when it comes to mental health and mental health struggles and that sort of thing, literally we deal with almost the same exact things when it comes to like panic attacks and anxiety and sometimes depression too. But for sure, the panic attacks. Can you kind of just tell me more about that, your experience and just...
Yeah, so, it's very, I guess, crazy to think about, like, prior... I don't even remember a time where I wasn't dealing with some form of anxiety. I don't remember what life was like. Like, how could I have just been so...
So, getting into that, what was the first time that you can recall that you felt anxiety, or you felt panic attacks, or you felt just in general, maybe it was depression, the most like memorable time that you remember, like when it first started?
Okay, so I remember exactly, actually. I was in college at Western New Mexico, and...
So you were, what, 18?
No, this was maybe 20. Like, I was heading into my... I had been there 2 years. I was heading into my third year, which I wanted to graduate that next year. And I was able to if I took a certain amount of credits, like that next semester. So I remember it was around October. I was out there playing volleyball. I decided to quit, just so I can put my full focus into graduating in the time that I wanted to.
Was that a hard decision?
Most definitely. I mean, I guess college volleyball was not the best experience for me. I think it was the right decision, but it was still very hard because, I mean, it was my whole life for a good amount of time. And you're constantly working out, you're constantly having practice. It's just kind of like the grind. And then when it's gone, it's like, what was I going to do with my time, you know? So I had just quit volleyball. I knew it was the right decision, but it was still hard, of course. And then a month later, Grandma Ellie passed away, which very, very hard on us. I think just obviously no death is ever expected, but I took it extremely hard. I remember going back to school after her funeral. It was around like Thanksgiving break. Going back to school was extremely hard for me. I didn't want to leave. And when I got back, you know, you get into the rhythm of things. And one day I was working. I used to work at Dairy Queen, and I'll never forget, I was cleaning the floors in the lobby, and one of my coworkers like popped up in the window with a scary mask on, and like I like saw him, and I think like the quick turn of like body, I completely like felt like my legs give out and get weak. I fell to the floor. I got extremely dizzy. And my heart just started racing, and like, yes, I was scared, but I feel like the quick jump and maybe me being on edge, like accelerated it. I remember my friend Frankie just holding me and me just crying, like I was in panic mode. And ever since that moment after that, I'd be working, and like I'd get this sudden fear of like a dizzy spell. Dude, it's so crazy just me saying it out loud, because I sound in a way like dumb. You know, like I know you get what I mean, but saying like these feelings, it doesn't make sense when I'm saying it out loud, but it was happening to me. Like I'd be just living my normal life, like making a blizzard at Dairy Queen, writing an essay, and all of a sudden, like any like thing that would make me like jump, like it would bring like it would like be a sudden change in my heart rate, and like I guess fight or flight mode would come in, where then all of a sudden I would like feel this sudden rush of like dizziness, and legs got weak, and I had to sit down. Everything was spinning. And yeah, this feeling I always got when I was like on edge. Mm-hmm. And I can still relate to that being on edge. It's like when I have, I guess, like episodes of anxiety, it's like I'm extremely on edge where every little thing frightens me. I can be like, back then I'd be, you know, like the mask thing. Or one time I remember we were walking as a family, and Dad tripped over like a curb, and like I kind of did like the and like all of a sudden like a whole other rush over my body came over me, and like it was like I kind of had to like reset and sit down. And at the beginning it was a lot of that, like just very like, you know, like any little movement was a lot. And
this was happening, so the first time that you remember was that one instance at work, and was this happening over the course of like months or weeks?
Yeah, no, most definitely. So Grandma passed away in November. I was in school when these episodes kept happening, like the blackouts, the dizzy spells. I'd be like in class and it was happening, and I didn't know what was wrong with me. And Mom like would be like, maybe your sugar's low, maybe your levels are off, and we just couldn't pinpoint what it was. So then Christmas break got here. I came back home, And I remember just one time driving to get breakfast. I was not feeling well. I felt like my heart racing. I was still getting the dizzy spells on and off, so it was extremely scary. Like, I truly thought something was wrong with me. I went back home, and it's like the only thing that made me feel okay was laying down, and just like I felt safe there until I called mom, like, you know what, I'm gonna go to the urgent care and something is up. And I went, they checked my blood, they do all your vitals, everything was fine, everything looked more normal. Then they referred me to my doctor, and I don't know, I guess Dr. Khan, he was our pediatrician, but mom still took me to him, and he saw me. I don't understand till this day, like, how, but we were having a conversation, and I guess he knew me like our whole life growing up, right? And he asked me a couple questions, and like it was like basically like how am I doing overall? Like, that, like, how are you doing? And then all of a sudden you just cry. So it was like that, and I would just cry. I was just crying with him, and then he told me that I was depressed and dealing with anxiety. And like, I looked at it, I just was like, there's no way that I'm feeling these things and it's depression. Because to me, depression back then was just sad. I'm just sad. Like, I felt sad. I mean, quitting volleyball, grandma passing away, I felt sad, but I mean, that's the last thing that I thought.
It was over a prolonged like period
of time. Yeah.
Where, like, normally you'd be grieving, but like for example, if it was because of grandma's death, like, you'd feel that, but eventually you'd kind of like, come to terms with it and then but like, it's like when you're dealing with this type of stuff, it seems like it's just much more prolonged, and sometimes like you don't even know a reason why,
Yeah. No, for sure. And he prescribed me antidepressants and anti-anxiety medication that day. It was extremely hard. I cried all day. I remember going out to eat with, I don't know if you were there. You probably were, but like Javi, Joe, of course, us, and like all of us. And it was literally a conversation like whether or not I was going to start this medication. And mom, she wanted nothing more than for me to do it, because I mean, in her case, I'm sure it was hard seeing me this way, where it was just 2 months of me calling her. Like, I mean, that whole month from Thanksgiving to Christmas break, me calling her like, something's up. There'd be times where like I would have a panic attack, and my friends would be calling her. And yeah, like, she's 2 hours away, not bad, but when she was away from me, I'm sure it was extremely hard on her and dad. So in that moment, as much as I did not want to take medication, because I felt like that wasn't going to be who I truly was, like, I didn't want to depend on medication my whole life. And it turned me into this happy person, which I thought I was already. Yeah, I mean, she told me to do it, and I did. I started medication, and most definitely within a month, I was feeling better.
It's kind of crazy, like, this almost the same exact thing how it played out, like the way it did for you is like the same exact thing for me.
Yeah.
Like the whole, like, in college, like, going to the doctors, going to the emergency room, like them asking me like questions about like just really just how are you doing, like, does your mom have depression, like, does your dad have like this and that, and then you just like, you literally just, it all comes out, dude, and it's like it's all bottled up, and then it just like it all hits you at once. It's like you telling me that, it's crazy, because yeah, it's almost the same exact thing. And it's crazy, like, it almost feels like you have like no sense of reality, or it just feels like you're just losing control in a way. And in reality, like, you kind of are, but it's like a very scary thing to go through, especially if no one really like exactly knows what's going on. The one time I do for sure remember, where you were having like a panic attack was like I remember you were like sitting downstairs, and I forgot exactly when it was, but I remember like Natalie and Joe and like everybody was over.
Yeah.
And like I saw you there, and like I knew what's crazy is I knew exactly what was happening, but like it's not like you literally could not control it. Like even if you knew that it was anxiety and it was like me reassuring you that like you're gonna be fine, it's like it just doesn't register in your head, you know? And it's just like it's the worst thing.
Yeah, it's crazy just like as my life, because I mean college Steph, 20 years old, no kids, you know? And now dealing with the same thing as a mom. It's just crazy how I have changed through it all, you know, all these years, but how it's really just all the same thing, and like it just affects me different now. Because I mean, back then it was like a mask, a college student wearing a mask that scared me and frightened me and put me into panic mode. But I remember like in that moment, and that was literally last October, where I had my last like flare up. I don't know, is that what we call it? Like
just episode, I guess.
Episode that got really bad. And it involved Asen, and like, dude, you know Asen, like he's all over the place, jumping all the time. But any little like trip he would like have, like he would trip, and in that moment, like I would gasp, and then like just breathe, and then my mind would just go down this like rabbit hole where my heart like would just start beating out of my chest, and I felt like how I would literally say like, how can I help him? Like how can I prevent him from falling every single time in my life? Like it's all just overwhelming, and I just would question me as being a mom, and like question my ability from keeping him from falling. And that little trip, and now like he's hitting his head on the glass, and when I'm well, it's just you handle it with a lot more like calm. And
so when it happens, it's like it's just one thing, because you're already in that, like when you have like when let's just say you're in an anxious time in your life or a period, you're already like your body's already on edge, and like any little thing could just kind of like set you off, you know?
Yeah.
And just send you down this like spiral, I guess. What is something that, can you recall anything that is a common denominator in any of these instances that always makes you anxious?
Yeah. I've realized over time that I don't do good with change. And I realized that this past episode that I had, this was right before October intercession. So I was teaching. It was my first year teaching. And it was like, when you're teaching and when you're in the school year, it's like literally nonstop. Like you're just moving, you're going, showing up every day, like, and you're just busy. And when I got these 2 weeks off, I remember that morning I woke up of my first day off is when I started feeling like these, like the symptoms. And I've realized over time that I don't do good with change. Like I kind of have to ease myself into like either quick or like slow down. And the fact that I go sometimes like from like busy to all of a sudden like you're chill, you don't have anything to do, anything to keep your mind busy, like it shocks my body. So even now, like the next intercession in March, after I went through that, the last day of school, it was like kind of scary. I'm like, oh, what if it happens again? Like I had it in my mind, but what my doctor advised me is like maybe kind of like ease my way into it. So the first couple of days of intercession in March, I would still wake up early and would still get to work and kind of act
keep
like
your routine.
keep my routine. And I've realized that that's what I need once I'm thrown out of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm the same exact way, dude. Like, even we talk about like whenever you're going on like a break, just like I think the thing that gets you is like the, especially because we like to do a lot of like, especially on the breaks, like we go, like we drink, and then for you to like switch, like just switch gears the Sunday before school starts, it's
I
like
can't.
it just like it's a lot of people could do
Yeah.
it, but
Yeah.
what's up, buddy?
You want to give me a high five? Come here. Yeah, like from grind mode to like chill mode, I just can't go from one day to the next. And it's so funny because you know me so well now, where I'm pretty sure it was like this last break when you're like, you texted me like, hey, dude, just because we had people over.
Or was it that, or you went out of town or something?
Something you were just like, hey, dude, take it easy, because
Yeah.
reminder, you go back to school this next weekend. Oh, for sure. Like if I like, it's not like, you know me, we have good times. It's not like we're you
Yeah.
know getting crazy. No, it's literally like super, just a fun time. But I cannot just go from that to like straight up I gotta wake up and teach some kids
Yeah.
and
No.
grind,
Yeah, it's just something you have to adjust and deal with. I feel like with, like, once you start understanding what it is that affects you, especially when you have like anxiety and you deal with like certain things, and you start to pinpoint exactly what it is that, like, how you have to change your lifestyle to kind of help you cope with it better.
Yeah.
And that like what showed me was, I mean, I said I don't deal well with change. Like, now I think back to like me going to Thailand and stuff. Like, dude, that was a complete, like, my whole life changed at that point. So like, no wonder I kind of struggled a lot with that, even though I enjoyed it, but like, it was just, yeah, it was a lot at once. So
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
It was like a quick jump, but I feel like you needed to experience that in order for you to realize that about yourself. You've always been very like in tune with yourself, and you know exactly what you need to do to like be 100% Diego. But I feel like that experience, you may have thought it was good for you, and not saying that it like wasn't, but maybe you now know, like, maybe buy a ticket back home and know like there's like an end to it.
Yeah.
Next time. But I mean, I commend you. I'm proud of you for taking that leap.
Yeah. It was scary.
It's scary when like so I've dealt with anxiety, my depression, but nothing is more scary than when I saw you go through it.
Mm.
I feel like when your loved one is going through something and you're truly not able to help, like, that was the most scariest thing. Like, I just, like, when you were in Arizona, I just wanted to like hug you, but literally that's like the only thing that I would be able to do to get you out of that.
Mm-hmm.
And tell you that it's going to be okay. But in that moment, like, that's really not like,
Mm-hmm. That's kind of what I was thinking, like, over there, and when I was in Thailand, when I would just keep like just checking in with you guys, because I know, especially for Mom, it was like probably pretty tough.
yeah.
There was definitely some rough moments that it was like towards the end. It was mainly towards the end where it just got really tough, because the rest of the time was, I mean, dude, it was awesome. Like, I want to do it again, but I think I feel like I could, but it's just, yeah, like those last, I mean, especially last week, I mean, you remember, it was just like, yeah, it was panic attacks like crazy, dude. And
I'm thinking of how you're saying that it's hard on like Mom and Dad, and I just like want to commend Dad so much because of how, like, with us dealing with this, how far he's come. I remember my first time ever dealing with it, like, he literally like, what can I do for you? And as like my dad, he just wants to make everything better, right? Like, he would be to the point where he's like yelling at me out of frustration with tears in his eyes, and he's just like, Mija, like, just tell me what I can do for you to make you better. What do you need? And I'd sit here and like just blank stare at him like, Dad, that's the thing. Like, And then they say like, you're okay, like you have everything you need, you're blessed. And that just kind of like
Makes you feel like
it makes you feel like I know I'm blessed, and it's making me more like I'm more mad at myself for feeling this way with everything that we have, you know, everything that they've blessed us with. But now I'm pretty sure I started therapy recently because of Dad, and he told me like, you should start therapy. And I'm like, look how far like he's come. And
dude, it's crazy, especially for someone like his age and like
yeah,
just some like old Mexican dad. Not old, but like like a Mexican dad like that. It's like that's almost the last thing you'd expect from like especially his son. Like you'd think like he'd be like, the hell's wrong with you, dude? Like, but although he at the end of the day, like he wants to see me do well, and like he is somewhat hard on me, but at the same time he's so understanding of, he just wants me to get better, and like he understands just from and I think that's the main thing, especially why I started this, is because like a lot of people really do not understand mental health. And it's like there's a difference between and I'm not just saying it because like I experienced it. I'm saying it because it's like the truth, that there's a difference between like anxiety, the normal anxiety that is normal, that comes along with like just being a human being, you know. I mean, it's a normal thing to feel, like in a regular emotion that you would feel if you were nervous or something big was going to happen. I don't know, you were taking like, you have a big interview at work, or I don't know, just something like that. You're going to be anxious, right? But there's a difference between that and mental illness when it comes to like anxiety disorder and panic attacks and depression. And like there's literally, it's an imbalance that is happening within your brain. Just like you have low blood pressure, like something's wrong with your kidneys, or you take medication for that. Well, your brain is just as much an organ as anything else. And sometimes it's not doing well, and you need to take medicine to help you recover and get better. And that's like for whatever reason, that's been so hard for people to understand over the years. And it's like, I'm hopefully like it gets better, you know?
Yeah. And I mean, so 18 is when it started, right, for me, and now I'm 29. So since then, there's times where like I was super consistent with medication, and then I'd fall off and I'd say I'm good, I may not need it anymore, and then it's really just been like a roller coaster. Like I haven't been consistently on it. I've also been on different kinds. When I got pregnant with Asen, my doctor actually told me to try to like get off of it. So I did, and I felt great. I was off of it for like 2 years, and then I had the most recent episode, and it's when I got back on it. But what I've realized that every time I start to like feel bad, it's because I'm not consistent with my medication. And it took me a long time to like understand that, and I'd get so mad because I've just always been trying to get off of this and get off of it. It's not something that I want to take for the rest of my life. Like it doesn't determine who I am, but it took me a long time to get to the point where I am now. And it's truly like I'm still Steph. I'm still Steph taking it. I'm just a better version of Steph. When I'm not on my medication consistently, I mean, I'm not myself. I can't function at 100%. And that's literally it. Like you say function, and it's literally when you're going through it, it interferes with your normal ability to just live a normal, like obviously life's always not going to be normal, right? Like things are going to happen. You're going to go through certain things, but when it starts affecting other aspects of your life, when like maybe you don't want to hang out with your friends, or you're not going to a certain place because you're afraid of having a panic attack, or you're afraid of doing certain things. If it really starts to interfere with your life, then that's when you have to look and be like, dude, like I'm not okay. Like, Yeah, just accept it, and don't let it, like, it doesn't make you a different person, you know? Like, I I'm a way better person when I feel the way I feel when I'm consistent with my medication. And my doctor's been very good about it, and he weans me off, and like off of the milligrams, and he starts me off at this dose, and I'm feeling pretty good, doctor, and he lowers it, you know. And
I mean, dude, like, what happens, like, you see someone having like diabetes, like taking diabetes, or they have diabetes, right? What do we? When does anybody ever say like, oh, I don't want to take like that medication?
Yeah.
Even though it's gonna help you, like, dude, like you need it almost.
Yeah.
And so when it comes to like this type of stuff, it's just like, yeah, it's a totally different like viewpoint on it, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
So what is when you were going through a panic attack, either some of like your past experiences or even the recent ones, what is something that usually helps you get through it? Whether it's something you think about, or something somebody tells you, or just what is the main thing that you turn to?
You guys, I mean, honestly, I remember, I mean, every time I would have one, I'd call. If I wasn't around you guys, I'd call you guys. I called you multiple times after having them. Now, when I'm home, I have all of you around me. You brought it up earlier where I was having the one when I was holding Asen downstairs, and all of you were there. Literally, all of you guys talked me down from it. Mm-hmm. And that's really what I've leaned on, is you guys.
Yeah, and you say like the main thing getting you through this is somebody, like literally just someone being there for you. Some people don't have that.
I know. It's so crazy to,
like, people that go through the same exact things that we go through, and they literally have no one. And it's like, I know it's just, but it's being brutally honest. It's like, if I didn't have anybody, I don't know if, like, there's times where I didn't want to be here, you know?
Yeah. No, I mean, I guess in that moment, like, the ones that pull me through it is the ones that, like, I love. Yeah. Especially Asen, you know, like, I just have to see him, and one hug from him makes it all okay and better. But yeah, like,
sometimes what you need to keep moving forward in life is somebody else. Isn't that crazy?
It's scary.
I mean, it's also very beautiful in a way.
It is very beautiful, but I say it's scary because that just motivates me to, like, be more kind. Like, you know, always be kind. And you could be that person for someone else when they're going through that. Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, you're not family members, you're not friends, but you're at a gas station, and maybe the stranger just needed to hear a compliment from you that day.
Actually, a good example is the craziest thing, dude. I think I've told you the story where I ended up when I was having a panic attack, like in Thailand. And if you haven't watched it yet, go watch the first episode. I tell you like basically the whole rundown, the whole story of what happened when I was dealing with like the mental health struggles over there. But yeah, I was having a panic attack, and I ended up just going to the hospital, like the ER, because I really didn't know what else to do, you know. And one of my friends, someone I met in Bangkok, his name was Roy. Roy, if you're watching this, which, I mean, maybe you will, but he's from South Korea. And I met him at a hostel in Bangkok, and literally like met him one of the nights there, and maybe we interacted maybe 2 or 3 times. I think we went out before and had some had dinner or whatever, but yeah, maybe interacted like maybe 3 or 4 times. But I only saw him, like, we were at the same hostel for maybe like 5 days or a week. And so this was in Bangkok when I met him, and then I had went down to southern Thailand for a little bit, for about 2 weeks, and then I ended up going to Chiang Mai, and that's when like all these, like, just the episode happened, and I went to the hospital, and one of basically the hostel hosts that I met in Bangkok was probably the person I was closest with in Thailand, because he's one of the most amazing people I've ever met. His name was Francis, and he would always check up on me, no matter, like, even he didn't know what I was going through at the time, but even when I left the hostel, like, he would just send me like messages and just making sure I was okay, and like, dude, best dude ever. Anyways, I texted him that I was in the hospital because he was the only one literally in that side of the world that I could probably like just talk to and let know what was going on,
Yeah.
And he was in Bangkok at the time, and I told him, and he was just like super worried, and he ended up texting Roy, because he keeps in contact with everybody that is in the hostel, that stays at the hostel, and Roy, someone who I literally met maybe 2 or 3 times, and we maybe talked a couple times. He went and visited me like when I was in the hospital, and he brought me like some snacks and some drinks, and he sat down with me, and like literally at the lowest point of my life, dude, where I'm just like, I'm so scared, like I don't know how I'm gonna make it through that time, and he's literally just sitting there with me, and he's telling me about his own story, how he was traveling, and he was so depressed that he wanted to take his own life. Asen has joined us, by the way. Just for someone that had barely met, dude, don't even know really, besides where he's from, I don't know anything like about him, but I mean, he literally took time out of his day and went to go take me things, and just thinking about that, it's like there's like some amazing there's amazing people in this world.
Like, he did everything we wish we could have done for you in that moment,
Yeah, literally. And it sucks because stories like that, or like experience like that, happen every day, all the time, but we only we feel like the world is bad right now, and like that it's an evil place, which I mean it can be, but at the same time, like, just things like that, dude, you just realize that there is like really good people in this world.
Most definitely. I had an experience like that this week, actually. I was driving to work in the morning, and it was just one of those drives that I was literally just crying.
Mm-hmm.
I had an overwhelming week. Some things like were going on, and I was just crying, and dropped off Asen. I called Dad, kind of vented to Dad a little bit, and then I got to school, and I was like cleaning myself up before getting down to go to class. So I'm in my mirror, and I'm like literally crying and holding my face and wiping my tears in the parking lot of school, not knowing that like anybody was paying attention or watching, or we're all parking most of the time, rushing to get to class on time. So clean myself up, I go into class, take my kids inside, and a teacher comes in, which we say hi to each other. She's super nice. We're not like the closest, but we're acquaintances. She comes in and she says, "I saw you in the parking lot and just feel like you needed a hug." And she hugged me literally for a minute straight, and it was like exactly what I needed that day and that morning and this week. And I look back at my week and ups and downs, but that definitely stood out. And that hug meant the world to me.
Mm.
And she said, "I'm not even gonna ask, but I just know you need a hug." And she hugged me, and she said, "I'll check in on you later."
We need more of that.
Yeah. It kind of just like, I remember you telling me like you were at ASU, and you were recovering from the really bad times that you were having, and you were feeling good again, and you literally said, "Dude, you never, like, people don't give enough value to how it makes a person feel when they give a compliment." And you told me giving a compliment makes you feel so good. And it's so true. just being kind to people, like, is so empowering.
Yeah, I need to get more back to that. Sometimes we lose ourselves, honestly.
We all do.
From your perspective, what is something that people don't fully understand or realize about mental health?
I would say that everybody has different experiences. Some people, like, I just look at you and me, for instance. Some people don't deal with it the same. When you're dealing with it, unless it's like really bad, that's when you've turned to us. But I feel like when you're kind of just feeling like sometimes like the everyday anxious feelings, you kind of tend to isolate yourself and deal with it on your own. When in my case, I'm completely opposite. I like lean in and I need you guys like present all the time. I can't be alone. I think just learning that everybody deals with it different and it's not just like sad. What?
Listen, dude. Hey, Ace. You either have to stay here and sit down.
Something wrong with my answer? I was like, Jesus, did I say something wrong?
Hey, buddy. You either have to stay sitting down here or you have to go down with grandma, okay? Which one? Sit down? Okay, you have to be quiet, okay?
He's the best audience. He's just sitting there listening to us talk.
Dude. That's hilarious. Anyways, no. So where were we?
I don't know.
Okay.
But we could skip that question.
Okay. What's the main thing that has helped you cope with some of these issues? Something. What? Asen. What? Don't booger or something or what?
No, you already asked me that question.
Okay. Sorry. One of the most impactful things that has happened to you in your life is becoming a mom. Why do you think that has impacted your life so much, and how has it impacted your life?
Yeah, I mean, when I found out I was having a baby, I think I've never been more scared in my life. Half of it was, how the heck am I going to tell my parents? The other half was like, I'm not ready to be a mom, but I feel like the moment I found out I was pregnant, my whole mentality and like focus shifted. And it's just made me a better person, as cliche as it sounds. But Steph, before Asen, had a lot of like insecurities, would always question myself. Yeah, and like, you know, I just dealt with a lot of like, am I good enough? And always wanting to lose weight, always trying to like look my best. Had a very unhealthy relationship with food, and all of those things made my anxiety and depression worse than already just having it, you know? But I feel like when I got pregnant, it's like he consumed all my thoughts and all my energy. So I didn't really have like time to think about those things that never really mattered. And then I had him, and seeing my body go through that and bring such a beautiful boy into this world, like it only made me like love myself more. And now I guess my mentality is, yes, I have my hard days where I don't look or feel my best, and you can always improve, right? Like, I don't work out anymore. I should. It's not an excuse, but I'm just truly not as hard on myself anymore. I've never loved myself more, and I think that's seeing Asen love, like, how can Asen love me so much and I'm truly his world, and me not love myself? Mm-hmm. So just with that like mind shift, it's definitely like helped me in all aspects of my life. And yeah, I've never felt better.
How do you navigate the mental health issues and struggles that you've been through and still be a mom at the same time, besides the fact that you have no other choice?
I mean, yeah, I think that's the big that's the big thing, is you have no other choice at the end of the day.
Be quiet, please. Yeah, right. Dad, please. We're live. Yeah, right. Come on, Dad. Dude, I hate you guys so much.
Go with Grandpa, Asen.
Go play with Grandpa.
Go play with Grandpa. He wants to play with you.
Except you can't come back, okay?
Grandpa.
Oh, Jesus Christ, dude.
Grandpa.
Shh.
Oh my God, this is hilarious. You're actually doing fairly well.
I know. Yeah, how do you navigate that?
I mean, it truly does take a village. Mom and dad know when I'm not, feeling my best, having a bad day, just taking him. Mom, when I lived here, like giving him bath time just to give me 1 minute of me maybe just laying down and dealing with what I had to deal with, taking a shower, maybe a little extra longer on certain nights. They definitely, or all of you definitely, pick up the slack when I'm just not there. And it gives me comfort, because in the moments of guilt and me feeling bad for feeling the way that I'm feeling as Asen's mom, I know he has so much love around him that it's okay to have a moment,
Did you go through postpartum depression?
Yes. My OBGYN, like the one that delivered Asen, she told me, because she was getting me off my anti-anxiety medication, that after having him, there was a big possibility of me going through postpartum. When I did have him, I did feel like I would have really, really scary dreams where someone would be taking Asen and I'd wake up crying. It was more scary. Like, I'd watch him and make sure he was breathing all the time. I wasn't getting any sleep. I was driving with him. He was maybe 5 days old, and I think I had to kind of push on my brake really quick, and all of a sudden, like, I got this like sense of like just how, like, I just got to take care of him, and how do I have to take care of him, like, it was just overwhelming. But thankfully, I feel like once I kind of got the hang of it, and then it was COVID, so we were home and all of you were home. It didn't affect me as much as I thought it was going to.
In a way, that's actually kind of, maybe it made it a little bit, although it's a scary time, like just us being able to be home the whole time, and just probably made it a little easier, actually.
Oh my gosh, so much easier. I really had maternity leave for like 6 months with you guys home.
What is something you want to instill in your child, in your son, that maybe you struggle with in the past, that you want to make sure that he knows, or that he doesn't maybe struggle with the same things?
Definitely, like, loving himself, never questioning his abilities, never questioning the way he looks. Just looking in the mirror and being fully confident in who he is and what he has to offer. And also that it is okay to have a bad day, and it is okay to cry, and it is okay to feel, and it's okay to lean on people. And I don't know, I just feel like we're just taught, like, as a society, I guess, or we were taught to just be strong.
Shouldn't you be strong?
Yes, you should be strong, but, like, it's okay to have bad days. I mean, you can't always be strong. Like, I feel like I have bad days and my strength gets me out of it, but it's okay to fall short.
But I mean, it's also, what's your definition of strong, right? Like, everybody, if your definition of strong is going through a terrible time and not telling anybody and suffering more because of it, then I mean, I don't think that's a good way to live, But if your definition of strong is like still knowing that you can get through something and pushing yourself through, but at the same time understanding that you still have people around you and you're not afraid to share those type of things and, be open,
Yeah.
You are currently single? Yeah.
Yes.
What
you
is,
act like you don't know that. I really tell you.
I know. By the way, it's not like I don't know my sister, but a lot of the questions I ask, I probably know the answer to. I'm just trying to get it out, It's better than me just explaining everything,
Right.
But you are single, so what is the hardest part about dating as a single mom, would you say? Or as a person with kids?
Yeah. Asen and I, we're so good together.
First of all, do you want to date, and do you want?
Oh, for sure. I want more kids. I've always wanted to be a wife. I've always wanted to be like a mom. I'm definitely open to all of that. It's just, it's very difficult. And I've a little bit very overprotective of what we have because we've really taken, it's taken a lot to get us to where we are.
Mm-hmm.
We're in our own place and we've literally never been closer. That seems like impossible to me. How could Asen and I become more best friends than we already were? But we're literally just like everything we need.
So is it more of bringing someone into Asen's life if they're not going to be a part of it, long term?
Yeah, I think it's just, I'm just very protective of what we have. And if I guess if it's not going to make it better, then
what's the point of it?
I'm okay.
Mm-hmm.
Him and I, we're okay. We're happy. I would love, like I said, I want more kids. I want to be married. I want to be a wife. I want Asen to have a big family, like a family that I grew up in. But I've come to terms where the way I thought my family would look, it doesn't look like that way right now. And that's okay. I love me and Asen's family.
Mm-hmm.
I love the family that I've created with him. And
you and his dad just you co-parent, right? I mean,
Yeah, no, most definitely. I think both of our priorities is Asen, and I think with co-parenting, that's the most important thing. Is as long as you guys are on the same page with the fact that the priority is the kid, then it'll go pretty smooth.
Mm-hmm. And do you find that people that you talk to, or just from your perspective, it's when you say you have a kid, does that scare people away, or does that are you hesitant to say? I mean, I don't think you'd be hesitant. That's your everything. So how do you navigate that when you're just actually dating someone?
Yeah, I mean, it's very hard. He's all I talk about. He's my whole life. Everything that I do involves Asen. So in conversations with anybody, he's being brought up, and I just feel like I guess we're very welcoming people. We love people. We the door's open to anybody that wants to be part of our lives, and that's not just me dating, but friends and anybody that we come across. We're meeting a lot of people, but I feel like what I've learned is, instead of going out looking for something, I literally have everything I need, and anybody else that comes into our lives is just there to add, not to fill anything that I'm missing.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Not even just being a person with a kid, but just in general, I think that's how everybody should approach it. You should be comfortable with yourself and okay okay in your own skin and have things going on for yourself.
Yeah.
And anybody that becomes a part of your life should just add to that as opposed to feeling some void, you know. What is something that you feel like you're currently missing in your life or that you want to implement more of, that you feel like you could?
Working out for sure, and that's the first thing that comes to my head. It's
Why?
just,
Besides me drilling it into your head every day.
besides you telling me to get an Anytime Fitness membership twice a day, no, it's something that I think I need, and it's on the last of my priority list, and it should be at the top. I just think it'd make me a overall healthier, happier, and more energetic person, better mom.
And what's stopping you from doing so?
My time management's all over the place. I'm making excuses, I guess, but at the same time, like, it's just not, I don't know. It's just not in me. Like, you know me, you know the stuff I used to be. I wouldn't miss a day, and I would feel bad for missing a day at the gym. Dude, and now, like, it takes so much for me to go. And I don't know what it is. It's like I leave school, I get ASIN. I could, like, but then it's just so much other stuff is going on. It's not a priority, and it needs to be. That's the bottom line.
Yeah, I mean,
because these excuses sound good in my head, but as I'm saying them out loud, I'm like, I'm not even going to say them because they're excuses. But in my head, they sound really, really valid.
as always. For anybody that's going through a rough time, either right now or they're maybe going through something in the future, whether it's mentally, physically, what is something that you would want to tell them?
Yeah, just that they're beautiful. They were made to be here with us, and it's going to be okay. As hard as it is right now in the moment, it always gets better, and nothing like waking up to a new day. Nothing feels better than that, and just to keep trying. And sometimes you just have to literally do just what it takes to get through the day, and it's okay. It's okay to have a day like that, a week like that, but it's going to get better.
And with that is going to wrap up the 4th episode of the MVP podcast, The Most Vulnerable Player. It was a pleasure sitting down with my sister, even though there was about a million interruptions, but that's just our family. But yeah, I think I'm still figuring out actually who the next guest is going to be, but we will figure that out. If you guys haven't already, if you're watching this on YouTube, please do me a huge favor and hit that like and subscribe button, because it would mean everything. If I also put this out on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, so you can hear it literally when you're driving, you're working out, wherever. Subscribe to that as well. And yeah, man, I just really appreciate you guys tuning into this. I hope it's bringing some sort of value to your life. And if it's not, maybe you're just finding it entertaining, and that's cool too. So yeah, man. Until next time, we'll see you.
Bye.